Welcome back, everybody. I'm Billy Liucci.
And I'm Amanda Atwell, and this is Moving Goalposts.
I noticed you didn't say Billy's Moving Goalposts this week. This is Moving Goalposts.
That's rare for you. That's a first.
It is.
Are you excited?
I am.
Personal growth, we'll call it that.
I am excited for the challenge. Some have said that you would have been scared of this one. I laughed at that. Others,
I have a response to me being scared, and it comes, I don't know if many of our followers know, but Taylor Swift indeed released a new album.
I did know that.
In that album, this is from the song Actually Romantic.
Okay.
Go listen to it. Great song. It's supposed to be about Charlie XCX and their feud, but won't get into that right now. But this is one of my favorite lyrics, and I just thought of it when you're talking about me being scared to come onto a podcast.
I didn't say that.
Even when Texas has been at their lowest points, I have not been afraid to talk about it because you know what? It's a form of venting. It's like therapy. It's like going to your therapist talking about what frustrates you. So this is a verse in Actually Romantic by Taylor Swift. Let's see if we can hear it.
I don't hear it good.
You don't hear it well? Well, we'll probably just have to play it, but I'll just read you the lyrics.
Okay, go ahead.
And I know you think it comes off as vicious, but it's precious, adorable, like a toy chihuahua barking at me from a tiny purse. That's how much it hurts.
Wait a second. Let me ask this. First of all, you called me harmless earlier on your podcast last night, which, you can't call a guy harmless.
That's not mean. That's not mean.
It's endearing, but it's also like, come on, I want to be like, at least have a little venom on Twitter. You can't totally say harmless. Second, am I the chihuahua in the purse? Is that what that was? What? No.
Did you pick up on those context clues?
No, I'm not the yapping chihuahua in the purse. No.
If you were a dog, what would you be? What do you think you would be?
I want to say something like intimidating, but I just love my golden retriever too much. So golden retriever. The fact that yapping chihuahua in a purse, but it's a yapping.
I think you need a dog that barks more. I'm gonna go with beagle instead. So you're still a nice dog, but you just can't shut up sometimes.
And
my parents have a beagle.
I love beagles. But I'm still stuck on the yapping chihuahua barking from the purse, and we're not doing that. No. And okay, I'm the chihuahua in the purse, but I'm the chihuahua in the purse, ranked in the top 5, undefeated. I'm the undefeated top 5 chihuahua in the purse. Fine, I'll take it.
Okay. I was mainly referring to your behavior on Twitter when I was talking about the chihuahua in the purse.
I know. That's pretty good. I do, and that's.
I don't know. I just heard the song and I was like, this sounds very, very similar to what I'm reading on the internet right now. So.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I knew you wouldn't be scared to come do this. It makes me laugh that people think you would. You have owned it. You'll also, call it when you're up. You won't go too far. But we have a lot to unpack this week about both of our teams, about, I think, a lot going on around the country, a lot being said about both our teams, good, bad, whatever. There's a lot. This is the first week too, that we've both played an SEC game. And being honest, this is the first week where Texas has lost and A&M's won a big one. It's you had the Ohio State, you had the Notre Dame, now this. So we're charting into uncharted territory. It's still a long season. We're going to talk about that too. But do you want to start this week?
Yeah, I can start it out. Also, we need to shout out to our sponsor real quick before we get truly started. La Casa, my favorite tequila that I will be drinking a significant amount of this weekend, kind of depending on how the game goes with the pure amount. But we will be hosting our tailgate with it. La Casa. I can pull up a bottle if I need to. Have a couple.
I'd love to see which one you have right there.
This is
Okay.
Anna Hale. I'm about halfway through my Blanco up there, and I think I'm about halfway through a Reposado as well. But we'll be breaking this out this weekend at the Texas OU game. So come say hi if you see me. Maybe I'll have a little bit on me.
At Texas OU weekend, you better have a lot on you. You might need it to drink or to
Can you smuggle that into the state fair? Are you allowed to bring in your own alcohol?
Probably not. I was going to say, though, that could come in handy to drink if it goes back poorly or to bop somebody over the head with if need be. But
I will say the last Texas OU game I went to, it was 2 years ago when we lost in like the very end of the game, should not have lost that game. I'm walking out of the stadium and an OU fan is just stepping on my heels as we're going down this every single step. And it's like a mob leaving that stadium. You can't go anywhere.
He's giving you a little
I turn
flat
around,
tire.
say some words. Some words are said back. Grant has to pull me away. Yeah, so maybe the tequila could come in use for bopping, but
it would. But you know what though? You'll have the little chihuahua in the purse to scare them off and bark at them.
There we go. I don't think I could ever have a chihuahua personally. But anyways, I'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, let's go. Florida, Texas at Florida, 29-21.
And I was actually not able to watch this game in real time, which I'm not super upset about because yikes. I will say, I expected this when I saw how it was going just on my phone as I was at a wedding. I expected the score to be a lot worse by the end of the game. I expected it to but I mean, Arch brought him back to a certain point, couldn't fully pull off the comeback. But I think my reaction to this game is a little bit different than a lot of what I have seen online. Obviously, the O-line is in shambles right now. We saw that. I just rewatched it a little bit to see where a lot of the holes are, that left guard position. It just seems like they were breaking through every single time. There was just the O-linemen just were not able to move their feet. They weren't quick enough. Yes, they're big bodies, and maybe this is to Sark's detriment that he's prioritized just big bodies. You need bodies that can also move, and these guys were not moving. Arch was scrambling on. Yeah, I think you were sent this stat of how many times he was pressured. He was pressured 35 times this game, which is half of all of Florida's pressures this year. That's crazy.
In 4 combined games.
Yeah, that's unacceptable for an O-line at the university. I mean, yes, you lost 4 O-linemen, but at the same time, you knew you were going to lose those 4 O-linemen likely to the draft. You need to have a scheme to fill those gaps. You should have gone to I'm of the opinion you should have gone to the I don't care if it's a player that you wouldn't think normally would fit into the roster. You need experience on this O-line, which is sorely, sorely missed. But the other thing I noticed is the defense, which was very, very uncharacteristic of this defense. It was not the game you saw against Ohio State. That was a completely different defense and stepped on the field against Ohio State. They just looked flat. It looked like they were still on a bye week. I'm not as concerned about the defense moving forward. I think it's a stretch to think they'll play 2 really bad games 2 weekends in a row. I think they were kind of tossed on their ass a little bit this game, and hopefully they learn from it and they'll rebound. But I'm not super concerned about it. But I do think, going into this game, I feel like a lot of us said the first team to 20 will win this game. Both teams scored 20. If the Texas defense played even remotely close to the games they usually played, the offense could have played atrociously and still won the game. That's the thing. And I don't think anybody said coming into this season that Texas was going to win games by scoring a lot of points. I didn't say that. I'm sure some of the major media sites that were hyping up Arch to an extent said that.
Time out. The one thing, and this is where it gets tricky with me and you talking, because I know you did not say and clamor for all of that. But you were one that kind of scoffed at the idea of me saying they lost a ton on offense, but then at the same time you agreed with me that they also were losing a lot in Quinn Ewers and that experience at quarterback. You were actually probably at the forefront, I think, of Texas fans saying how much this team would miss Quinn and his big game experience and all that. But what I'm getting a lot of, as we call this show Moving Goalposts, and Lord knows I've gotten hell from everyone. We named it that, and it's primarily like me poking fun, and we're poking fun at both fan bases. A&M spent the whole offseason moving the goalposts around, right, after that loss. Texas fans, they're moving the goalpost right now to move it to the media and the national media. And we're going to talk about a horrendous piece in the national media here in a minute. But they're moving it around to say the media said this and the media hyped up Arch and they did that. Y'all's fan base, not the girl I'm talking to right now, fan base embraced every second of that. And anyone like a Jordan Rodgers or anyone in the national media, any in the media that dared to question that, even while Arch was saying, I haven't done anything to deserve all this. He was quoted at media days. Hey, I've played in two. But the fan base was shoving it down everyone's throat that they would dare say.
What would your fan base do in this situation? The exact same thing.
Similar, but, and what would you say now? You'd be
not
saying.
Not that I'm being defensive of the fact
I get
that.
it. You'd be saying.
People, not many people have the ability to look at things from a full scope. Obviously, you want to be excited about if you're a fan base, you get this star recruit coming onto your team, you want to be really excited about it. You have done that multiple times for many quarterbacks. And you can see a lot of those quarterbacks played out across the country right now because it did not work at A&M.
That is fair.
So the fan base, and also our friend Robert pointed this out on Twitter today, which I thought was really interesting because he was talking about the New York Times article that everybody's criticizing right now, which we'll get into. But yes, the national media, you can go back and look at these athletic articles, and they are absurd. They are things that I have not seen a single Texas fan say of just this whatever team is tanking to pick up Arch in the draft before the season even starts.
I saw a lot.
I would like you to pull up those fans' posts because I did not see any fans post that kind of thing.
Heisman Trophy, laughing at
but also, look at this. Coming into this season, who did you have at the top of your list for the Heisman Trophy? Nobody knew.
Cade
Klubnik, he was up there. Drew Aller was probably under consideration, but nobody really knew anything. And Drew Aller and Cade Klubnik at least had some experience you could rely on. I mean, yes, I personally did not have Arch in my Heisman.
But you're right. You're spot on with that. And everybody's missed this year on teams, quarterback. So that's across the board, whether you're a national expert or you run a site or you're just somebody on Twitter. Like, everyone's been wrong. It was like throwing darts. That's what's made this season so fun to follow. And so it's still.
So everybody's moving goalposts at this point.
For sure. But what I'm saying, though, is like people were like, and y'all's 100% Heisman Trophy. He's not going to go even if he's the number one pick. And then
how much stock are you putting into random Twitter trolls right now?
No. I'm putting stock into a fan base and a lot of y'all's media. A lot of y'all's media.
I didn't finish what I was saying about our friend Rob.
Yeah.
He said, this is an Aggie, said on his Twitter that all fan bases, all teams have these specific fan accounts that's their job to do, is hype up the team, and that's what they do. Yeah. So to criticize that type of media, obviously some of them do it better than others, which we have discussed on here, and especially on the Texas side. So
a lot of them would be the ones, though, that would now they're revising history and saying, well, the media did this. No, not you.
Well, I would say the one I'm affiliated with does not do that and has been heftily critical of the situation of this O-line, especially coming into this season, because the O-line has been.
Well, they were smart. If On Texas was saying that and Bobby, Jerry, and them, then they were smart. Because I'll be saying that about A&M's O-line next year. They're going to lose probably 4 starters off a very good group this year. They're winning games right now. A big part of it, and we'll talk about it in a minute, is the offensive line. Next year, they're going to lose 4. Now, I hope that Mike Elko goes in the portal for help, which I'm going to mention that in a second. But yeah, that was what I was saying the whole offseason. My concern, if I'm looking at Texas and why I thought they might take, as I said, a slight step back, was that was a great offensive line, Amanda. You said it all year, and you were right. You guys you came into Kyle Field and stomped up and down the field. due in large part to those guys blocking. And even when you lost a first rounder, another guy came in. Like, that, to lose all of that and then to lose a quarterback that, for his ups and downs and injuries, he guided Texas.
Very level-headed quarterback. Very
and consistent, and took 2 Longhorn teams to the semifinals.
That's the moving goalpost I want to address that really pissed me off, was just Texas fans just immediately throwing Quinn into slaughter.
Yeah.
Anytime he did anything remotely wrong, begging for Arch Manning, and now they're looking back saying, I was so wrong. Of course you were wrong about Quinn. Any person with a brain could say you were wrong about Quinn. Quinn took this Texas team from a 5-win season when Sark was first at Texas to making 2 college football playoffs and then winning 2 college football playoffs games. And this fan base can never be grateful for it. And this is something we talked about on Texas last night, or I can't remember, one of these days, of just the fan base constantly. And I don't know if it's something recent that has been the case. I know there has always been high expectations at Texas, maybe. And I said it yesterday. It's gotten to the point where, like I've talked about, Sark has, since to this point, has constantly had progress. He's had progress in his seasons, more wins, winning better, winning bigger. And now you're seeing a regression, and it's just an immediate get rid of him, fired. It's just they want the immediate gratification without understanding. I guess it might also be the case of the NIL era and transfer portal era and how that impacts the game. But it's ridiculous either ways. We need to get into some other things.
I think a lot of it too, Amanda, is you were preseason number 1. I went through this last year with baseball. We had come so close the year before, literally within a run or 2 runs. You'd had to win the game. 2 runs of a national title. 1 game away from a national title. You bring back all this, and you're excited, and you kind of
nobody could have predicted how coaching would drastically impact that.
You blow past the obvious that Texas fans could see, LSU fans could see, which is, man, you lost a hell of a coach, and it was a really massive ask of Mike early in year 1 to just say, just like Texas fans, and I think their media, blew past, you lose a ton on that offense. To expect that to keep revving with a brand new quarterback, without a misstep, and without growing pains for Arch Manning, I thought all along was unreasonable, no matter how good he is. And no matter how good he will be. But
my issue with what you're saying here is you continue to generalize Texas media as if it was all Texas media saying it.
It was a lot. It was 90% of it.
90% is a lot, and I think you're stretching that a little bit, because I had seen plenty of stories in the preseason of the O-line concerns heading into this season, tight end concerns heading into this season, of just different position groups that lost so much heading into this season.
How many outlets?
I mean, I brought it up in this show multiple times of just the different position groups I was concerned about.
How many outlets predicted them to lose even 2 games?
I think
no one predicted 9-3. I'm saying, how many predicted less than 11-1?
I mean, what would you didn't even predict that.
I picked 10-2. I picked 10-2.
Okay, you didn't predict 9-3 though, which obviously could very well be the case, but we need to move on. I mean, I guess we grazed on the Arch New York Times article a little bit.
Well, what else about that game? What else?
Just let me say this.
Okay.
It is a tough task in the second week of October to get Longhorns, Sooners, and Aggies, and a lot of the other college football world agreeing on one thing, and it was that they just wanted to, were just battering this New York Times, battering this New York Times article, because I didn't read the article. I saw a couple of statements of a couple people trying to make excuses for what was being said in it, blaming the branding and that Arch isn't following through on his brand. He has lost 2 games in his tenure as a starter. 2 games, including last season. It's
to call him,
and then also I think just a statement of, what was it? A name synonymous, or a man synonymous with
lose. Yeah, that was the one for me. And honestly, Amanda, you know this. Sometimes you read a headline and you just go, I'm not reading that shit. Yeah, and look, if you wanted to
You don't
write
want
me,
to give him the click.
yeah, and if you wanted to write me an article about, hey, you know, here's what's going wrong at Texas. Look, as an Aggie, you're going to read it and revel in it just like a Longhorn would. If they say, hey, here's what's gone wrong with A&M, you're like, gosh, thank goodness they're finally having to taste a little bit of this after how the last 2 years have gone. But the way I'm not they're just kids guy, because players like Arch Manning and Marcel and a lot of these quarterbacks, but really all these players make more money than 99% of our parents have ever made in a year in their lives in some instances.
Or that we'll ever see in our lives, honestly.
So I think they're due criticism of their performance, and I think they're due criticism, not due, but it's fair to criticize their performance and to criticize their actions if they're, doing things to embarrass their program or themselves off the field or on the field. But there's a line. And you have to think about, like, no matter what Arch Manning plays like, and I've said this all along, and I said the same thing about Quinn, and I hope Longhorns would say the same thing about Marcel Reed. These are like good kids you're talking about. Yeah. They're good people. They're given all this money and these endorsements like the guy's talking about, and like, raise your hand if you would turn them down to help yourself in your future life, to help your family. For any reason, if someone offered you all this money to do simple things like commercials or to represent a brand. And by the way, I don't care what fan base you're in, you can look at that kid and say, he's a good representative of any kind of brand, okay? Yeah. He's low risk, he's a lot of...
He's donated more of his NIL money to charity than any other player.
Yeah.
He's a good person, and he wasn't the one that was hyping himself up before the season, like you were saying. He hasn't done any. He's not over here acting like Shadar Sanders.
Yeah.
He's not acting like he doesn't have a massive head on his shoulders.
He's not acting like Pavia.
And no, he has not performed to. He hasn't performed to his expectation, I'm sure, as well. He hasn't performed to expectation thus far. But if you're pointing to just Arch Manning as being at fault for the loss against Florida, you didn't watch the game. He had some bad throws. He had a couple interceptions. But at the same time, if you're not scrambling for your life on 35 plays, you're probably a lot more settled and playing a bit better. And he played good enough to score 20, which is what a lot of people said is what you would need to win this game.
Are you familiar, Amanda? You're probably familiar with his brother. You're familiar with David Carr?
Yes.
Okay. David Carr, not Derek Carr, who's more your age, but David Carr, his brother, was like a number 1 draft pick of the Texans when they first started. And his porous O-line, and I always make fun of my old roommate who we do the show with on Friday, Steve McKinney, was part of that O-line. They basically shell-shocked him and ruined his career. Now, on the flip side of that, I think, I could be mistaken, Steve was also on the O-line with a rookie that may or may not be related to the guy we're talking about by the name of Peyton. Mm-hmm. And they were like 1-15 or 3-13 his first year, and he got obliterated all year, and he grew and learned from it. So you run the risk of this pass rush, leaving Arch Manning for the rest of his career seeing ghosts, or he does what Peyton Manning did.
Or getting injured at this point.
Or that, yeah, you're right. That's a great point.
The O-line to me looked a lot different during the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
Wasn't perfect. Looked enough to get the job done if Arch hadn't.
They ran the ball well at Ohio State. Well enough.
Yeah, Arch got it under him a little bit towards the end of the game, but he was obviously not prepared for that moment. He looked a lot more prepared for the moment against Florida. The people around him did not.
He deserves a medal. It reminded me, Aggies that are listening will say this, it reminded me of when Connor Wigman and A&M went down to Miami a couple years ago in Jimbo's last year, and Connor just made some incredible throws, and he was so gutsy, and he just took an absolute beating, and you wanted to, like, walk out there yourself and help him off the field. That's what it was like with Arch. So hopefully, for his sake, it's a growth thing.
One of those where he threw,
But But that article why can't we just do this with this kid? And again, I think a lot of people, not you, but and maybe not on Texas, I got to go back, but a lot of people need to raise their hand and go, yeah, that's right. So when the Texas people that I keep seeing try to compare him well, Eli struggled and Peyton struggled and Tom Brady and Quinn Ewers and Vince Young. Stop that. Stop that.
I see what they're trying to do, but at the same time, you can't guarantee that he's going to be one of those players. Just say other great quarterbacks have also struggled.
Yes.
And turned out to be good.
And a lot of shitty ones struggled and were never good. Look at the SEC and go, this kid is in year one as a starter. He's got a lot of talent, and he's a football playing dude. That's obvious. But he's going through the SEC for the first time with a bad O-line. There's going to be growing pains. Why do we have to write articles saying he's a failure? Just say, hey, it's a disappointing start.
I think there was some comment on the Warby Parker ads, and I had a little conversation with one of my friends on Twitter about this, who I very much disagreed with about just how he's failing to live up to the brand deal. If you have never signed a brand deal, I don't want to hear jack shit about what you have to say about signing a brand deal. I have signed brand deals. It is not about, you can't sign to guarantee performance on these things. The brand has to look at what they are given and take it for what it is and calculate if it's worth the risk.
That's always a thing with athletes.
Obviously calculated that Arch Manning is worth the risk. Even if this season does not go as expected, he is still the quarterback at the University of Texas, which I know if you're an Aggie, it's annoying, but that's going to be worth something as far as brand value goes.
No doubt.
He's also a good kid. Mm-hmm. He's also low risk when it comes to that. You're not out here sponsoring, no offense, but Johnny Manziel. I mean,
well, that's just different brands do that. You know what I'm saying?
And it's also just, it's a different kind of brand that would sponsor Johnny in this. I would love to see Johnny's brand deals in NIL era. I think it would be hilarious.
God, that would have been amazing.
Maybe For Loco.
For sure. All right, I'm going to sum up Texas before we go on to A&M and then talk about this weekend's game. Here's my 30-second take. O-line's been terrible in looks like it's like getting worse, and this is the worst possible time.
Stark said he thinks he can fix it in a week, which I don't believe, but feels pretty to impress me.
I do think if you're just dogpiling the O-line right now, I wouldn't take too much. Arch needs to, I know it's tough, he needs to eat some of those sacks and not throw the ball away to be intercepted.
He ate 6 sacks.
Should have ate 8 of them. Threw the ball into coverage twice, like, don't throw that ball. Run it.
I can't remember if either of those interceptions actually turned out to be points. I think one of them at least did not. So.
He's nice when he crosses the line of scrimmage and runs. Okay, and then, the defense, I'm not worried about it, but I will be keeping an eye on this. And I don't think OU can take advantage of this. Florida has an NFL running back, and A&M's got to worry about this week, and they got an NFL running back that's top 3 in this conference. And they got a high-round draft pick on the O-line, and their whole O-line is a strength of their team. They lined up and ran at Texas. They said, check your manhood here. They got physical with them. We're not letting y'all finesse us, rush us. And it'll be interesting to see who else on the schedule tries and can do that. Fortunately for Texas, I don't think that's Oklahoma. The Aggies ran for 207 against Auburn last weekend. OU ran for like 57. I don't think they're equipped, even with Mateer, to do much on the ground against Texas.
Yeah, and I would say Texas's defense is a little better than Auburn's.
A lot. Well, yeah, they're definitely better. Well. Yeah. And so I think this is a good matchup, actually, for Texas when OU has the ball. My final take on this is this. Quit pointing fingers at the O-line. Quit pointing fingers at Arch. Here's what it is. Sark's got to hold his hand up and not say stupid shit like, oh, I'd like 135 other teams in the swamp. Your arch rival down the street won in the swamp.
Did you hear what CJ said about that?
Yeah,
on our
and he's
show?
right. He's
and
spot
I think
on.
he was getting a little ripped in the comments saying like, oh, you need to apologize for calling our coach loser. And no, he said he was talking like a loser, which he was. He was talking like a loser.
It's a losing mindset, and it's not what your fan base wants to hear when you were number one and you lost 2 games in September. That's when you just get up there and you say, it's my job to, but when South Florida won there a couple weeks ago and A&M won there, you can't say that. Sark needs to look at himself and say this. I made the decision not to add any more linemen in the portal or any. I looked at that group and said, this will cut it. I looked at the receiver position. I've had Texas people tell me, well, we didn't want Concepcion. Well, as we'll talk about later.
I wanted Concepcion.
You should have taken him. And then my other thing is this. And this is a much harder thing. I wouldn't want him to have to make this decision. But there's a reality that they could have NIL'd Quinn Ewers back, a 7th-round draft pick. You would never do it, but I'm talking about.
I don't think he was going to come back either way.
They went all in on this timeline and stuff, and whether it was ready or not, it had to happen. And all I'm saying is,
I think the fan base would have revolted.
They would have. I wouldn't have done it. I get it. I wouldn't have been able to do it either. I'm not.
But also, could Quinn have done anything with this O-line?
No.
In these situations?
No, you're right. That's true. Oh. But my point is, you put yourself into the position where you didn't even have the option. So all of those are head coaching decisions that he has to live with and have to fix. So let's move on. I think
fans at this point probably just need to accept that it's probably going to be a transitional year.
Yeah, but I also, Amanda, I listen. We joke about me being careful because we know what the master receipt keeper will do. And it's kind of a joke. It's kind of serious. Like I am. What did you say last night? I'm scared to say anything at this point.
I think you're just careful.
Yeah, I'm a lot more careful.
More careful.
Even as things sit today, you've got me on, like, I'm like, all right, I don't want her to just have this victory lap at the end. But I will say this. I would be surprised. I'm not saying I'm wishing for it, but I would be surprised if Texas doesn't improve throughout the season. I don't know if it'll be the wash that people think. I do think if they lose, I think they're going to win Saturday. If they lose to OU, and I think then you start to really say this is a complete rebuild of a season unexpectedly. Because then you look, you got to go to Georgia. Vandy is not easy for anyone. Just ask Bama. I'm telling you right now, this is what I talk about with this SEC grind. Going to the swamp, not easy. It's hard. I heard people say, I think it was maybe in CJ. That was the best environment I've been in.
He said it was the loudest environment. I mean,
you let them get going down there, it is vicious. I'm going to tell you another place. You're going to come back. They're going to be saying, what an atmosphere if you don't play well. Ding, 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 clang, a clang, a clank, cowbell country.
Isn't our stadium pretty small, though?
That's what makes it hard, though. It kind of reminds me of Lubbock.
Bells.
It kind of reminds me of Lubbock. You get in there, it's small, it's loud.
Well, Lubbock used to clear out by the halftime when I was there. So.
Oh man. But yeah,
I was covering football.
Anyway, my point is, I think they'll get better as the season goes on. I do agree with people that say it's too early to bury them, but damn, they're in a deep hole.
We got to cruise through the rest of this because we only got about 35, 40 minutes.
Aggies and Mississippi State.
I just watched the highlights of that because, like I said, I was at a wedding this weekend and a bit of a slow start, but good rebound. I mean, I'd love to hear if you're happy with it, if there's any things that you think are red flags, especially going into Florida.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. And there are things that I go, okay, they can't do that. They gotta shake that. So I don't want to say a mixed bag because look, the reality is you beat an SEC team that a week earlier took Tennessee to overtime, number 12 Tennessee. They beat number 21 Arizona State. And a game 60 minutes, and you beat the crap out of them. And you were up 28-3 at one point, and you won 31-6. You went on a 28-0 run. You scored on, I think, 5 of your last 6 drives. It was a pretty thorough beatdown. You look at it statistically and on every level. It's a beatdown. They got after the quarterback. They stopped the run. They held Shapen and Brennan Thompson. He had that one.
Did the penalties problem get addressed at all?
Not really. I mean, better than they started terrible, though. Like the first quarter, it was like, oh, my God, it's more of this. Then you had a goal line stand. Now, look, it was in that end zone, Amanda. I will be lying to you if I didn't say I had flashbacks.
Flashbacks.
You and Peyton can enjoy that one because it's y'all's favorite thing. But
I did see that, and I was like, What was that play call?
It
You've been there
was
before,
it
and
was
you
in
did it
that
again.
it was in that same damn end zone. But the reality is
Then it didn't matter. So
it's actually the first time they haven't scored in the red zone all year. And
that's significant.
only once did they even have to settle for a field goal. So it is something to look. But my thing is this: my one concern, penalties. We talked about it plenty. They got to clean it up. They had a long punt return called back, like the second play of the game.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that. I was like, this is awesome. And then I was like, oh.
One of the first plays of the game, a long
Was it
run
Casey
called back.
Concepcion?
Yeah, on that punt return. Then they
Really
had
good.
So my one concern over the last 2 weeks is this. You look at the numbers, they look amazing. They're having run pass balance. They're running the shit out of the ball. In the last 2 games, 500 yards rushing, 299 against Mississippi State.
That's crazy. We'd kill for that.
Yeah, 1 week it was Moss going for 140. This week it was Reuben Owens with a career day at 140. The O-line is wearing people out. They're protecting Reed. And then you've got the 2 receivers, Concepcion and Craver. They're beasts. They're absolutely they're 1-3 in the SEC right now in receiving yards. They're scoring touchdowns. They're doing it. Return game, catching it, running it. So here's my one thing. The offense has to – they scored on the first drive against Auburn and didn't score the rest of that game, and they didn't score until there was 2 minutes left in the second quarter this week. That's like 6 quarters without a touchdown for the offense. So there is a lot in the way of consistency that they need to clean up because in between –
Yeah. I was about to say you didn't see this against Auburn.
Yeah.
Did you think Auburn was a significantly better defense than what you saw against Mississippi State, though?
Talent-wise, yeah. But I think, Mississippi State was more aggressive. And I think teams are going to be that way. And I think Florida will too say, hey, Reed.
Florida's defense they'll scheme for you.
They'll say, Reed, beat us over the top with completions. And then we'll back off. But we got to commit more to stop this run, and we're going to blitz you and speed up your mental clock. You're going to have to make – and I think teams will keep doing that. The good news is those receivers we talked about can go up and get it, and A&M, just like this week, they can impose their will in the run game. And that defense, Atwell, man, you and I both had questions about it early in the season.
Defense seems improved.
Yeah, and look, Auburn's offense stinks, but the last 2 games, 8 quarters, they've essentially given up 1 touchdown. The other one was a 2-yard drive after an almost pick 6. They've given up really 1 touchdown drive in 8 quarters. They've given up this is a defense that 200 yards a game the last 2 games, like 55 yards rushing the last 2 games, 9 sacks. They forced 2 turnovers this week. And the 2 SEC opponents, get ready for this, 1 for 23 on 3rd down. This defense has come out of nowhere. They need to keep it going, though, because, as this goes, the stakes get higher and higher. Mm-hmm. The stakes get higher and higher, and they get higher for both of our teams this weekend.
Yep. We got a lot to talk about with the 2 big games this weekend, too. I mean, no offense, I would say Texas OU probably ranks a little bit higher on the big game list. You should have made it out this year. You said you've been wanting to make it out to a Red River.
You know what? An 11 a.m. night game at Kyle would have probably worked. This is too big a game. A&M, you're right. Yeah. Like nationally, Texas OU is always the game. For the people in College Station, it's like every game right now is the biggest. Game. And the way, we talk about
What time is A&M game?
6:30.
6:30. Okay.
So it's a night game at Kyle.
It's the first weekend in a long time I can actually sit down and watch some football.
You're going to be able to go to Texas OU and go home with your La Casa.
We're gonna be pre-gaming at my apartment because I'm right next to a dart train, and then we're gonna have our little pre-game. We're gonna hop on the dart train, go down to the fair, do a little pre-game at the fair, and then go into the game. So it should be a lot of fun. I haven't been to Texas OU in a while, so I'm excited regardless. A little bit of nerves.
Let's talk about the game.
Yeah, so still, I think we get that the initial injury report here in probably the next hour or so.
7 o'clock,
I think the biggest question mark that people are talking about going into this game is whether or not Mateer is going to play, but I got to tell you, I don't care at this point. I don't think Mateer playing or not playing is going to impact this game as much as if Texas can get anything going on offense. You can't. This is a game where I don't think you can really rely on the defense to win this game, especially looking at what happened last week. Texas defense has to rebound this game. Mateer is a good quarterback, good on his feet, but at the same time, I don't know. I just think the defense has to rebound in order to win this game.
Yeah.
Can't say I'm not nervous, but even if it's a completely outmatched game, which we'll see, it has happened before. 2015. I did go back and watch those highlights to give myself some reassurance. Gerard Hurd running all over OU. Baker Mayfield just completely going off the rails. It was a beautiful game.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was my senior year, so that was the one part of joy of my senior year.
Is that the strong in the
Texas
hat?
football.
Is that Charlie carried off, or was that Herman?
Yes, that was the one that bought him one more season. That probably should not have bought him one. I mean, you can't go. You beat OU. You can't go 5-7 and still keep a job when you have not progressed at all in the previous years.
So I think I agree with you, everything you just said about the defense, and that's how Texas is going to win. That's how they were also going to have to win with Mateer. I think a healthy Mateer with where Texas is at, I think mentally, and where the OU defense versus that Texas O-line and how it's going to be on Arch likely. I think with a healthy Mateer, I'm probably picking OU in a low-scoring game.
I think so.
If Mateer plays Saturday, is he a healthy John Mateer? I don't believe so.
I mean, it's either way. It's been I've talked about this already many, many times. It has been 17 days since his surgery. And Brent Venables said in the press conference he hasn't been playing. He hasn't been practicing. He said he's been following through his protocol, which means he's probably just doing the physical therapy he needs to do for his thumb.
He's not a John Mateer, by the way, that will have practiced very much. And at that position, my God,
even if you get out there, say he gets hit while he's throwing, offsets that injury, you're in for a much longer recovery.
Yeah, that ruins their season.
And I mean, right now, I hate to say it, but they are in the talks for making the college football playoff. You're undefeated right now. Sit your quarterback. I mean, Hawkins is improved, but at the same time, you would rather have the chance of him being you got a long season ahead. Have you looked at OU's schedule? It ain't pretty.
Their schedule is rough.
They got handed probably one of the shortest sticks in the SEC when it comes to scheduling, which, as I've said before, could not have happened to a better program. But
he's got it coming for him if he comes back early, I think, and I don't think they should either, because the main thing, Amanda, is I just can't imagine.
They want him to play hero ball, and that's not fair.
I can't imagine that he would have practiced all week. To me, to put him out there,
they've been practicing indoors because of the weather. You know what the temperature is in Norman right now?
It's probably
like 75.
They're hiding whatever news it is.
They said they practiced indoor because it was 90 degrees. I'm like, do you know what it's going to be in the Cotton Bowl on Saturday?
Yeah, they should be practicing in 90 degrees. So anyway, exactly. I think Texas, I'll get one of the picks out of the way early. I'm gonna
maybe stop picking us so we can do some reverse psychology here.
I mean, I want, part of me thinks, you know what, I am going to go OU now that you say that. You know why? That Oklahoma, but their offense with Mateer, I know the point total, they actually outscored A&M in that one by, I think, 5. They had a defensive score. They had a safety. But they should have given up 6 points on offense to Auburn. It got overturned. Another one of their touchdowns was a cheating play that shouldn't have happened. And if you watch the game,
3 times?
Yeah, and if you watch the game, the Aggies went up and down the field, and Oklahoma did not. It was a 4-quarter struggle. So I'm not buying what everybody in the country was selling about this OU offense.
From just what I've watched, I feel like A&M is a significantly better team than OU. I just think it's a significantly more complete team than OU when you talk about those skill positions of wide receivers, of running backs. I think it's just much more complete as far as experience and just explosiveness and explosive plays.
What worries me is the OU D-line winning that game, even more so than the Texas O-line. But by the way, OU can't run, and their O-line's not very good either. They're not as bad as Texas up front right now. That's not a good O-line. It's not like the one they saw at Florida or Ohio State. If Texas' defense doesn't wreck that group, then I think there's a lot more to be worried about, because I do think they will do that at the Cotton Bowl. So I'm sorry. I hate to do it. I'm actually going to pick Texas. I just don't think even if Mateer goes, I just don't think he's played enough football lately.
Everybody's picking us, which, I mean, a lot of people have been picking against us, and
Okay.
we've been, so.
Let's talk
whatever.
Aggies and Gators.
I just don't even believe in superstitions anymore, because nothing I can do can get us back on track. I didn't light my Bevo candle last weekend, though, so maybe if I light it this weekend.
You need to light something. Look, Aggies and Gators now. It's number 5. A&M's 5th right now. Florida's coming in. They look now, thanks to you guys, and really, honestly, thanks to a bye week. I think they desperately needed it. They look like the team that everybody thought, which is really dangerous, extremely talented. Elko said it's the most talented team we'll face so far this year by far.
Even over Notre Dame?
And I agree with that. Talent.
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame would beat Florida. I do. But Florida's defense, I think, is the best A&M will have seen so far. Their D-line, as you saw,
I looked
is
at that.
nasty.
I think so as well.
Their D-line's nasty. They got players in the secondary. Like we talked about their O-line and running back. They bring Dallas Wilson in now all of a sudden out of nowhere. You know, we knew who he was, but he'd been hurt. You guys were the first unlucky victim.
Yeah, we got to be the testing.
The test dummies.
For test dummies.
Yeah, that was that dude's a stud. And Lagway, although I do think this, I think Lagway's gimpy still.
Yeah.
This is look, even before they had any confidence, they were down to Miami 13-7 midway through the fourth quarter. Even before they had confidence, LSU only scored 13 points on that defense in Death Valley. And they
don't give up. They're a team that does not, despite their losses this season, they are not a team that gives up. And, I mean, Lagway's also proved that. You throw, 5 interceptions at LSU, and you're able to walk out and have a great game against a team like Texas. I think that says a lot about them mindset-wise. And you're welcome, Florida, for saving Billy Napier's job for now.
For now. And that's the other thing. He's still coming in desperate. And they're coming in confident, and the coach is coming in.
The wall.
But here's one thing I will say. And this is what I talk about. We're going to talk about it in a second with Bama. This is the SEC grind, and hopefully now it works in A&M's favor, right? You're coming up on 3 straight road games at Arkansas and Fayetteville, and at Missouri, at LSU. LSU's in between those two. But right now, we talked about it. I've admitted it. A&M caught a break with the early season conference schedule. You got 3 games against unranked teams at home. I know Florida didn't look unranked last week. Just factually, they're coming in as an unranked team. You're playing at home at night. So Florida has to go from LSU to Texas, Miami, LSU, Texas.
Yeah, and Florida also has a beating of a schedule.
And now they got to come all the way to Texas and play at night at Kyle Field. This is the SEC beat down. And then there's way more after that for them. But you give Florida at home, they're up here. This is why that game was scary for Texas. You give A&M at home, they're up here. You put Florida and you take away that home field advantage and put them in Kyle Field, or you take A&M away, put them in a place like the Swamp. It's a massive swing. I like A&M at home. I fully expect this, Amanda, to be a 4-quarter fight. I would love to tell you that I think this offense for the Aggies is going to fire on all cylinders for 4 quarters like it did for Notre Dame. The last 2 games tell me that it'll be, probably because of Florida's defense, like an inconsistent struggle. And I like A&M. They're battle-tested at winning close games now. They've won 2 really close games and a third one where they had to put their foot on the gas and pull away. But that was a very tight game for 2.5 quarters.
What did I tell you? I told you this last year, I think, or earlier this year when it came to Sark. First, which now Sark has gone off this trajectory, but maybe Elko can follow this trajectory, is first you lose, then you lose close, then you win close, then hopefully you win big. So right now, Elko seems to be following that trajectory up to this season so far. But that's my biggest question, as well as the consistency with the offense, especially against a much better defense.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's if A&M can win this game decisively, I think there's no argument against putting them in the top three.
Yeah, I think if you look at this is good. This is a topic here real quick. The national rankings, everything I hear, they go Oregon, Ohio State, Miami are your three, and then the next group. And it's like A&M, Alabama, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Georgia, maybe Indiana. Like it's this next group, OU. But I'm like, realistically, and you take a screenshot, and I'm not predicting shit, okay? I'm not going to do that yet. But you take a screenshot. I'm telling you right now, based on what they've accomplished on the field, based on when you sift through weaknesses, I don't think A&M has glaring weaknesses. Obviously,
they've had the strongest strength of schedule so far, or the strongest strength of wins
strength of wins, and it's. I think if you just do common sense and look at who's played who, it's A&M and Miami at the top, and when you Oregon's big claim to fame right now. Now they get an Indiana team this weekend, but their claim to fame so far is they beat Penn State, who just lost to UCLA, who's winless. So A&M should be actually included in this group versus this group. And it doesn't matter. But when they beat Florida, then if they beat Florida, it goes even more into that. So let's go 2 minutes around the SEC. There's really only two topics because it's what's coming up. And the only real big game this past weekend was Bama beating, you called that one. You predicted Bama. I picked Vandy.
I just did not see them with another chip on the shoulder situation there.
He had 2 red zone turnovers, Amanda, that killed him. And it was Pavia's fault on both of them. Big win for Bama. Are they back? Are they back to being not Nick Saban, Alabama, but can we say that my pick of them to win the SEC doesn't look so bad anymore?
I think they're definitely up there, but I think you could also put yourself in an argument to win the SEC.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and there's a handful. Ole Miss,
I think you'd rather that happen instead.
I would take that, but there's a long road ahead.
I mean, Bama's a good team. It's little things still to be concerned about, but looks like they've rebounded pretty well.
I do think Simpson has vaulted himself squarely into the Heisman mix for sure these last couple weeks. He's been incredible. Let's go to. By the way, an A&M Bama game might be some real fireworks when you look at those receivers, Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, and then Concepcion and Craver. Really interesting weekend. We talked about our 2 games. Those are the 2, I think, the biggest games. But LSU at home against South Carolina. Either they eliminate South Carolina completely, who, by the way, go look at their.
I think they got to.
Go look at their schedule. I think their next 5 are against top 15 teams.
Yeah.
And by the way, someone said compare that.
It's another team everybody was so wrong about, including you. You were hyping up South Carolina pretty well. At least South Carolina's quarterback.
Yeah, I did. I was definitely hyping him up. I definitely was hyping Sellers up. Hopefully he stays down a little bit. But look, you look at South Carolina's schedule and they compared it to like Oregon's over the next 5 weeks. And I'm like, raise my hand.
Even Tech's?
Yeah, how about Tech's schedule? But South Carolina, if they beat LSU season's over. They're done. Even at 2 losses. There will be a meltdown on the Bayou, and that's in Baton Rouge.
I mean, I can't blame them. I wouldn't want their coach either.
Yep. Auburn, Georgia, Hugh Freeze 1 step closer to the finish line if Georgia wins that one.
Yeah.
You got Bobby Petrino in Arkansas going to Tennessee. That's just more for fun. I'd have to think Tennessee wins that thing. But here's one for you. Alabama at Mizzou. Now, let me explain to you, and we're going to wrap it up after that.
Weren't you not a fan of Mizzou's schedule?
Exactly. So it's interesting, though. They still, I don't think they've even been on the road yet. I'm not positive. If they have, it's 1 game. But look them up real quick. But they're coming off a bye week. It's an 11 a.m. game, which is lull you to sleep game. And here's what Alabama's had to do, right, Amanda? They went to Georgia, emotional and physical. revenge game against Vandy.
You're right. They haven't had a single game on the road yet.
It's crazy. It's bullshit. They haven't played a single. So emotional, physical game against Georgia, revenge game against Vandy, rivalry game next week against Tennessee, and in between you plop this 11 a.m. game in Columbia, Missouri against a team coming off a bye. This is a trap game for Bama. I'm telling you, it's going to be a really good one. It's a trap game for Bama. I'm looking at our run sheet, Amanda. We have already done moving goalposts because I talked about it earlier with that. I'm not assuming that you have any retweet or deletes. I may have one for you this week if Nick can pull it up.
If he's throwing 5 interceptions against LSU, what's it going to look like against Texas?
That was it. Did you hear that?
What was that about?
That was you saying about Lagway. If he's throwing 5 interceptions against LSU, what is that going to look like against Texas?
Yeah, what the hell did that look like? Where was the defense? I don't think you could have even predicted that the defense would look like that.
Are you deleting that one? That hot take?
Well, no, I'm not deleting it because I'm annoyed. The defense should have played better. That is on the defense.
And by the way, in fairness, Lagway was way down the list. But yeah, Texas, that was the first game where he avoided.
How you can't get anything where I actually tweet it out because I think about what words I put on the internet.
And in fairness, I didn't.
Wouldn't you have said the same thing going into that game?
I say a lot of things. That's why I'm always going to lose this battle. When I signed up for it, I signed up. You will regularly lose to Amanda because you are not going to have a filter. Now, you have given me a little more of a filter on Twitter. I've found that sometimes I can just quote tweet or retweet from the masses and deliver my message without even really saying anything. So it's kind of it's like what you did after Texas beat A&M. It was, you don't even really have to say much.
I feel like I kind of I exhaled a lot of my bookmarks last year just because it was a lot of piling on Texas fans for many, many years. You couldn't argue with it. I didn't argue with it. I was frustrated as well. But you know what? I was just quietly. It's going to get better.
What people don't know, I
had faith it was going to get better eventually, and I
people don't know
in that.
is you
I had
told
one tweet
me.
after we beat Arizona State or made one of the things that we did when we made it to the Cotton Bowl. I think I posted something like, "You got to let Texas fans be happy at this point. You can hate Texas fans all you want for being Texas, for being cocky, whatever, but at this point." At least the ones that aren't obnoxious, there are a lot of very obnoxious ones that don't really deserve happiness a lot of the time based on the way they act towards some of our players and coaches. But
I say the same thing.
After so many years of especially my college career, I deserve that.
Listen,
I deserved a little bit of happiness.
People that don't understand our friendship, they don't get how much shit we talk to each other even away from this show. And even before we when we just knew each other a little bit, you literally said in pretty much these exact words, "Don't worry, I'm going to get," you basically said, "I'm going to ruin you or bury you in bookmarks. Just sit tight. It's coming." And I kind of laughed at it. And obviously in the last, calendar year, you have followed through on your promise. But like you said, for so many years that you dealt with it, I think for Aggies and for A&M fans, it's been 2 years with the Texas has been way up. We hate to see it, we hate to admit it. It's factual. We're 5 games in. I think you'd be foolish to do very many victory laps and start counting wins. Because
I've told you I don't do victory laps.
Not you. I mean A&M.
Gotcha.
It's 5 games in.
Yeah, I'm telling A&M fans right now, be careful what you say. Because there are a lot of people out there that would love to come back and bite you in the butt about it.
My advice to myself and everyone else would be just enjoy it. And
just wait till November.
And by the way, also understand, Ohio State won the national title last year and they lost 2 games. This is it's a different world we're living in, and to be honest, Texas fans should be looking at it that way too. There's a world where 9-3 SEC team can get in.
I ain't looking at a national championship with this O-line right now. I got to see some life out there. I got to see that left guard move his feet before I talk about a national championship. Anyways, we better do our picks.
Let's do picks. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ohio State, Illinois. Brett Bielema and Ryan Day. I feel like those two could fight each other during the game.
Are you going to make me pick first so you can pick the opposite team?
I think we probably agree on this one. I think
Ohio State.
I think I'm gonna go Ohio State. Although, if Ohio State's getting upset this year, I may have moved my target from Penn State to Illinois. But I'm not quite confident enough to make that pick. I'm gonna go Ohio State.
Maybe Michigan.
Maybe they always do, but I'm gonna go.
I told you this is a rivalry game. You never know.
That is true. I'm gonna go Ohio State on the road. Close game though. I think Ohio a good State. Game. All right, what's next?
Bama, Mizzou.
All right, I'm gonna call it. I'm calling. I know
who I'm going.
I'm going upset. I'm going Missouri at home. I know that sounds crazy. I don't think Georgia's as good as people think. I think I saw that game where Vandy could have won it. I think this is the trap game in Bama's season, and it's not Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer is not immune to traps.
I'm going to go Bama. I think I'm going to go Bama.
Probably, I mean, they're favored heavily, obviously. Yeah. I'm going Missouri, and our friend over there in Columbia is probably not going to be happy with it because my crew over there, the what do they call themselves? Those three blondes or whatever, they're not happy when I pick their teams to win. But I'm picking Missouri. Really? Yeah, they hate it.
I mean, they should like it that I didn't pick them to win because I've been doing. I've had a couple really bad weeks on my picks.
Well, by the way, I think
my excuse, my worst week, I was in France.
We do need to say you went 8-2 last week, and I went like 3-7. So I think
I have my redemption week.
People were asking our yearly, so we do each week and we keep score. We're at 3 weeks apiece. We had a tiebreaker one week that we picked an extra game. You won that, and for the season. You are 30-29 after this week, and I'm 32-27. That first week we had some weird extra picks. We kind of did more than we do now. We settled in at 10. So, all right. So you're 2 picks behind. You need to make up some ground, but this is actually a lot closer than I wanted it to be. Indiana at Oregon, the Ducks.
Let's see. You pick this one first. Let me do some Googling.
I love it. I'm going to go. This, I don't want my buddy up in Eugene to hear this. I'm going upset city. I'm going top 3 Oregon to lose at home. I don't think they've done that in a while. Kurt Cignetti, I don't give him any credit. I'm going upset with their Heisman Mendoza quarterback. I don't think he's a Heisman contender, but I do think he's good. That's my biggest limb I'm going to go on this week. I'm going Indiana.
I kind of like that upset pick, but I don't want to pick the same as you, so I'm going Oregon.
Okay, that's fair. And by the way, I don't know if you realize this or not, but you do because you just looked it up. I think Oregon, they should win that game. I'm going off just a feeling here.
Scraped by Penn State, though. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. But Indiana scraped by Iowa. I think the Big Ten. I'm listening to Dave Portnoy consistently prop up the Big Ten now, and I'm like, the one test. Let me ask you.
There's a couple solid teams in the Big Ten, but a lot of it. Did you see the Ohio State-Minnesota game? My poor boyfriend does not have a football team to follow.
No, he does not. He hasn't for a while. He can go to the Vikings. The Vikings are solid. Listen, who in the Big Ten? Michigan got their asses kicked by OU. What else has that league done in the non-conference? They haven't even played anyone. None of them have played anyone other than Ohio State. So your Longhorns, if they would have handled business, my God, the Big Ten would have no leg to stand on right now. That
was a 7. No loss is a victory, but still, Ohio State, big bad boy Ohio State couldn't beat Texas by more than 7 at home.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, Michigan. Speaking of the Big Ten, Michigan at USC. Revenge game for Michigan, right? Didn't USC had a miracle rally last year? Or no, I'm sorry, Michigan won that one late. So Michigan at USC. The Wolverine. That's a tough one. You picked that one
I'm
first.
going Michigan. I'm going Michigan.
I'm going to go.
Unfortunately, that makes OU's schedule look better.
Yeah. I'm going to go USC at home. There's something about these teams.
I honestly would like it if USC won.
There's something about these teams traveling out west. They complain about it a lot. And Lincoln Riley complained.
I'm so sick of hearing the Big 12 complaints about times of games.
Lincoln Riley.
He signed up for this.
Exactly. Lincoln Riley had complained about going to Illinois. They got beat. James Franklin and them complained about going out west. They get beat. It's a trend to keep an eye on. And I think I'm going to go with USC at home because Michigan has to travel.
I kind of do like that USC pick, but that's okay.
South Carolina at LSU. We kind of talked about it.
You picking an upset here?
I am. I'm going with Lenora Sellers over Garrett Nussmeier. Nussmeier has not impressed me. I think LSU, they still over there in Baton Rouge think they're better than they are, and I think there's a reality coming.
And Lenora Sellers has impressed you?
I mean, good one, Amanda. But yeah, no, not necessarily.
He lost 31-7 to Vandy.
He got hurt in that one though, in like the second quarter.
Okay.
But they were going to lose that game with him.
They lost by 2 scores to Missouri.
I know who you were picking because it's your second favorite team.
LSU. Honestly, I like both of these teams.
You know what I don't like about these picks? I don't like that you're picking the tough environment home teams, and I'm picking the home teams like USC and Missouri. It scares me a little bit. I'm not going with daunting environment.
Relying on the LA fans to come out and make that a tough environment.
Undefeated Arizona State at 1-loss Utah. I'm torn on ASU. They were lucky to beat TCU. They lost to Mississippi State. They beat Baylor on the last play. But I watched Utah and Tech.
Wait, is this home?
It's at Utah. It's at Utah. Man, I'm gonna keep rocking with. I'm gonna keep rocking. I'm gonna keep rocking with my man up there in Tempe. I like him. I like his style as a head coach. I'm gonna stick with Arizona State in this one. It's hard for me to imagine them staying unbeaten this long because they don't. I'm sorry. Why I say unbeaten? Unbeaten in the Big 12. But
I was about to say,
I'm picking a team that lost to Mississippi State. Yes, but I'm going to go with Leavitt and the Sun Devils in that one.
I think I'm going to go Arizona State too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean Utah's a tough place.
Utah got their shit kicked out of them by Tech, so.
Yeah, they did, and it was late, but it happened, and they got thumped. Arkansas at Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Same. I don't think we have to really talk. It might be fun to watch. Petrino
What a crazy upset that would be. I would be happy to be wrong with that pick.
Hey, it would be about
Imagine the implosion of Vol Twitter. That would be so much fun. Oh, my
God. It would be about as crazy as Arkansas beating Tennessee last year, which happened. But I think that Arkansas team was a lot better. So I'm going to go and Tennessee's quarterback is a lot better than Nico is too. Okay, last two we got Georgia at Auburn. I almost should put a point spread on that one, but we won't. I'll go Georgia as well. Hugh Freeze, 1 step, 3 losses in a row. If he doesn't beat Missouri that next week at home, he might be done. And this one is one of these. Just take your guess, Amanda, because I know you haven't been following much Nebraska Cornhusker or Maryland Terrapin football.
Maryland. No, Maryland still scars me. I don't like to think about the school of Maryland.
That's right. You guys lost a freaking both ends of a home and home to them. Those were the days. Nice. Those were the days. Yeah. Too bad we weren't doing. Too bad we weren't doing a podcast. Why couldn't we have been doing this show then? Who are you going with?
Let's go with. Who's at home? It's Maryland's home.
Maryland's at home.
I'm going Maryland. Tossing it up there.
I'm going to go Maryland as well based off of. I'm going to go Nebraska. I'm going to go with Raiola. I hate to do that. I'm going to go with the Mahomes impersonator, Nebraska's only lost.
I'm happy with my pick. I forgot that guy existed.
They've only lost one game, and it was to Michigan.
So insufferable. Anyways,
it's the weirdest thing ever. Let's wrap it up with our two. We talked. I guess you tell me. Are you picking your Longhorns to beat Oklahoma?
I have to. I
think
I don't feel good about it, but I'm picking them. I think even if Mateer doesn't play, I really don't think OU has much of a run chance at all. I don't think Mateer is going to play. I think it would be kind of silly for them to send Mateer out there. But at the same time, I don't think it matters all that much either way. We know how this environment goes. We were talking last night about just how this is just all, what's the word? Momentum. It's a game of momentum of just, it turns into a home or an away environment so quickly on either.
I really would love to see it one. Hopefully,
you would be.
Hopefully next year it's on like a bye week or something.
I took Grant to it, and Grant has not been to many college football games. He's only been to Texas games with me because they only went to a few in Minnesota because it's very cold up there. But he was just standing there like, oh, why isn't every football game like this?
That's awesome.
Just because it's such an amazing environment of just the back and forth. But yeah, it can be an amazing or a terrible environment. It was a terrible environment when I went 3 years ago and Texas won 49-0. So would love a result like that again. I'll pick Texas.
I want to pick Texas, but that's just kind of what my head tells me. I have this weird feeling they're going to play this dude, whether we think he should or not. And I don't think he's going to be great. But for the sake of the fun of that graphic that we put on Twitter, just to get everyone to go, of course you picked Oklahoma. I'm going to, for the show, for the pod, I'm going to pick OU, and I'm going to regret it if Hawkins plays because I don't think Oklahoma will score more than
glad we're doing
10
these
points.
Picks before the real injury report comes out.
And then finally.
It comes out in what? 15 minutes?
7 o'clock, yeah. So we're about wrapping up.
I bet they put him as like questionable or some whatever, or doubtful, something like that.
They'll probably put him as. I bet they'll do questionable. I would bet. And then finally, A&M Florida. I'm gonna pick the Aggies. I like the home field. I like Elko. In that battle, Elko Napier. Look, listen. Realistically, say what you want about Sark. Napier just beat a top 10 coach. So I'm not, but I like Elko and the Aggies at home at night. Everything you say about Florida that scares you, if you're, I'm sitting here going, well, why is this a tough game? And I go down the list. But everything you say about them, you can also say about A&M, and they're getting them at home. I like the Aggies in a really close football game, to be honest. I'd be shocked if A&M won this thing comfortably, and I'd obviously be surprised if Florida. I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
Okay, wrap up your thought.
I'm talking my way through. I'm going the Aggies to win it in a 4-quarter game, close game.
Okay, I'm also going to pick A&M, not because I don't think Florida has a shot in this game, but because I haven't seen anything from the Aggies that means that they should lose this game. That being said, if we see the team that played Auburn, I'm going to have a couple more question marks about whether or not A&M can pull this off. But if we see the team that played Mississippi State last week, if we see the same fight that they had against Notre Dame, they need to see a little bit better defense. If you combine the defense they had in Notre Dame and the offense, or not the defense they had in Notre Dame, the defense they had against Mississippi State, the offense they had against Notre Dame, as well as Mississippi State, I think you see a win here. And obviously the home environment does help a lot.
It's getting a lot more competitive. This show, I enjoyed it tonight. We had some good rivalry banter. Tell your friends to watch it. We're having fun with it. I think people are starting to realize what it is that we do, and they're enjoying it. But listen, I don't want to be called tonight on the show your on Texas. Don't reference the Chihuahua in the handbag. That's not going to stick.
I won't. They don't like it when they don't think I'm funny when I bring up Taylor Swift, so I won't bring up Taylor Swift.
I don't want the Chihuahua in the handbag to stick. That barking
I just
Chihuahua.
thought it was funny. Not that you are a Chihuahua, but you were yapping about something online and not stopping, and I'm just like listening to the new album. I'm like, this is just a tiny Chihuahua yapping at me, thinking he's intimidating.
Yeah, and also don't call me harmless tonight. So, Longhorns, if you're watching, obviously tune in on Texas football. Aggies, you're all here at Tex Ag. You know where to find us. Thanks, Amanda, and I'm Billy.
I'm Amanda, and this is Moving Goalposts.